गुरु से ज्ञान जो लीजिए, शीस दीजिए दान। बहुत तक भोंदू बह गए, साफ जीव अभिमान। We cannot think the world without schools. To build an elite and world-class school, we don't need bricks, mortar and steel. Rather, we need educational leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome legendary and veteran principals across the world to our show, Talk to Me.
I am student journalist Oshin from Sandeepani Journalism Club.
I am Smarika of grade 9th and I am student journalist of Sandeepani Journalism Club.
It is our pleasure to have nationally and internationally acclaimed principals in our show. I heartily welcome you all. Let me introduce you with our guests of the day. Mr. Ashish Bhatnagar, Principal, International School of Seychelles, Mahi Islands, Africa. Dr. A.M. Suryavati, Principal, Harvest International School, Bangalore. Dr. Anees Ahmed, Director cum Principal, Salmiya Indian Model School, Kuwait. Mr. Ravi Kumar, Secretary cum Principal, Howard School of Excellence, Karnataka. Dr. Rukwa Gandhi. She is an eminent educationist and has worked in Canada, Hong Kong, Cambodia, and currently leading an institution at Singapore.
So, you have an experience of conventional classroom system of teaching and learning, and even have an exposure of e-learning, that is non-face-to-face, from teachers and learners' point of view at school level. Which method you recommend the most and why?
So my answer to this would be that there is no substitute for the brick and mortar model of education. There is no substitute for teachers, and I think the face-to-face learning in a physical classroom setup is certainly far better than the e-learning. There are a lot of things which needs to be taken into account. For example, the one-to-one social connect that the students have in the classrooms with the students, with the teachers, and of course, like the atmosphere that they get in the school environment that they get is not possible to get through online classes. There's a lot of psychological well-being, the emotional well-being, social well-being involved when a child is learning, when a child is growing. So I personally feel that this is must that they get exposed to several aspects of growing up. So if you are not in contact with other students, if you're not with other adults, other individuals, I think you cannot have a complete growth and a complete learning. Similarly, like even from teachers' point of view, when you ask me, that yes, the teachers can, for teachers as well, this is the best thing to do. On e-learning, there is no control as such that you can have in a classroom setup. You can give every single child, even an individual, attention if required, which is not possible through e-learning. Yes, you can connect to them later on, and then there can be exchange of emails and messages and WhatsApp and all that. But still, there is no substitute for a one-to-one bonding between a child and a teacher. There are many times when a child confides in a teacher, and a lot of things they share with the teachers as well, and a teacher can give them an emotional hand, which really is very helpful. Online learning, online teaching, definitely these things are missing.
Madam, Central government has announced Unlock 1. In Phase 2, schools may reopen at the mid of July. Most of the offices and services have been sanctioned to operate. As per your wisdom, why schools are kept at the last phase? Should it be more delayed? And what is your take upon it?
Namaskar. Unlock Phase 1 has seen many industries and fields open up and people happy to resume back to their work and force. And we have also seen the number of cases on the rise since the unlocking happened, and people catching up with the new normal of the COVID situation. Schools and colleges, however, have been kept in the last phase, I think, because the number with which India is dealing is very, very huge. If you look at the school and college going students in India, it is equivalent to the population of United States. When we deal with such large numbers and a variety of educational institutions, the government schools, the private schools, the elite schools, all these things, a single decision may not be that suitable to be taken immediately, and that's why probably the decision has been on hold. Recently, MHRD has sent a circular to all the schools asking us to collect the feedback of the various stakeholders of education, basically. So, during our orientation program in our school, we had asked the parents to give the feedback regarding the reopening of the schools, whether they would want to follow Model 1, Model 2, Model 3, whether they would want it as a staggered classes or with social distancing, or if they would want to give any suggestion regarding whether they would actually want to send the students to school or not. The same feedback has been taken by the teachers, by the school management committee members and everybody, and the collated feedback has been sent to the educational departments. I think very soon they would come out. If you personally ask me, I think primary children are more vulnerable because it's very difficult for educators when they come back to schools to insist the norms of social distancing and sanitizing and other things. So it wouldn't be much which they'll be losing if they are at home and then their parents do take care of them. Parents anytime would put in their heart and soul to take care of the children when they're primary. And so that's what I feel from my end, that I think that's the reason why educational institutions are opening very late, and hopefully by the end of a couple of weeks, I think we all will be knowing the decision of the government, and then schools might be running with certain guidelines. We are all waiting for it.
Sir, we have stepped in Unlock 1. Therefore, all the schools, they are gearing up for reopening. Therefore, what kind of challenges and concerns with respect to the health, safety and security of the children can you foresee?
Well, the major challenges with respect to the health, safety and security of the children in the school are: very first, the constant reinforcement and communication to the teachers on safe response to COVID-19. And the second, the challenge is monitor the enforcement of social distancing and precautionary measures such as wearing masks. The third one is preventing the transmission of disease in the school. And the fourth one, how to sanitize the whole school to get ready for the reopening. And the fifth one is developing protocols and standard operating procedure to monitor the safety and security of the children and the teachers.
You are a legend. You have traveled far and wide. In your entire career, have you ever heard or witnessed any such pandemic which had ever impacted the lives of millions of students world over, and how has it impacted the lives of students?
I'm completing almost 38 years of my career into education, and honestly speaking, I have never heard or witnessed such pandemic like COVID-19. I'm sure all of us have heard, and even some of us have witnessed some other natural disasters ranging from earthquake and tsunamis to floods and volcanic eruptions to mudslides and even wildfires, but certainly not of this form of pandemic that we are witnessing now, that the whole world is locked down. The whole world stands still. No, never. The schools all over the world have been closed for the last 3 months. In Kuwait, we closed the schools on 25th of February, and since then the schools are closed. Children are living under lockdown, under curfew. They have not been able to come out. So certainly it has impacted their life. The millions of children all over the world have been affected adversely. I'm sure some children have developed even health issues. Of late, our children are sending recorded messages to their teachers saying that how badly they have been missing the schools, how badly they have been missing their teachers and their classmates. It has been horrible time for the children all over the world. May God bless us. May God help us to get rid of this pandemic as soon as possible.
For Indian teachers and students at the school level in general, virtual teaching is a new phenomenon. We are using hybrid technology like live sessions, PPTs, and self-recorded lectures too. You have a foreign exposure as an educator and administrator. Can you suggest our teachers any other tools or techniques of classroom transactions using digital mode of learning?
My role basically as an educator, I'm an international education expert. My role basically is to look at the issues of what current education experts are facing right now due to the pandemic crisis, the COVID-19. Our main concern is basically at this moment is how do we manage and how do we modulate the online platform for students and teachers, and how we can also connect the academic aspect and as well as the social and the emotional part of it. I think one of the biggest challenges is the human connection that we have already established with the students. There is a gap between students and teachers. On a virtual platform, we can't really assess the level of challenges that students face while working in a challenging questions or answering questions. We are unable to assess their social and emotional issues, and this is the biggest gap. We all know that basically there are a couple of online platforms that supports learning. Basically in Singapore, a lot of schools, they use Padlet and they use Microsoft Office like OneSway or OneNote. Some people use Teams where exchange of folders or exchange of homework, but that only limits the academic aspect of it. So my point here is it's a good platform for us to discuss how do we bridge the gap of basically to get students and teachers to also share and to regulate their emotional well-being and their social well-being in terms of human connection. And we know that as the children or students, they love to interact, they love to speak, and to limit themselves to a surface platform, it is challenging.
Sir, sooner or later, all the educational institutions have to start functioning. According to you, what necessary guidelines and precautions should be taken by the parents before sending their children to the schools? And what precautions and steps should be taken by the schools at the time of entry of the students to the school?
So, one big thing is, if your child is sick, if your child is not feeling well, please do not send him to the school, because he is vulnerable, and even his friends or his classmates are vulnerable too. So the thing is, if he's not feeling well, cold, cough, or any such things, because this COVID pandemic has given us a situation where you never know what actually is happening. So what I feel is that if your child is not well, the best thing to do is keep him at home, take him to the doctor if required, or else let him have a rest, let him recover from whatever it is, whether it's fever, cold, flu, cough, sneezing. Let him recover and then send him to the school. When you send him to the school, of course, let the school authorities know about it. Let the class teachers know about it, that he has had a recent history of like cold and flu, which will really be beneficial for them as well to assess his situation whilst he is in the school. And the next question is, what measures schools should take while students enter the school campus? So, well, we have reopened the school, so I can tell you that what we are doing is, one is we are right at the entry gate. So, a lot of schools have multiple entry gates, like 2 or 3 or 4 multiple, like entries to the school. So what I feel is, at every single entry point, you need to place teachers on duty who can regularly check the temperature. So what we are doing is we are checking the temperatures, recording every morning, and if the temperature is normal, then the child is entered, and of course they are asked any history like cold, cough, sneezing, and if a child is not well, then we'll just ask him to sit at at the reception, and probably we'll call the parents and we'll send them back home. So, or of course, if the temperature is high, then definitely yes. Otherwise, also if there is a history, then we won't let the child in. So this is just at the entry point, and we also instruct the students, if they are wearing a mask to the school, at the entry point we tell them to take off the mask and only wear it while they are ready to go back, because wearing the mask for the whole day is also not good. It definitely reduces the level of oxygen that is going to the body, and if a child is playing, running around or any such thing, then obviously they should not be involved in any kind of physical activities where there's heavy breathing involved. So this also needs to be very, very careful.
Education system around the world emphasizes on the harmonious development of the child. What type of extracurricular or co-scholastic activities can be done by the children who are attending classes online?
Education around the world needs to be harmonious and holistic. The fun part of a schooling, if you ask any student, he would say the co-scholastic periods. That's why schools make a judicious combination of academic subjects and the co-scholastic subjects, so that the students are not bored sitting inside the classrooms, and they get this right mixture of physical activity and the mental activity which happens in the academic sections. But unfortunately, the whole world has moved on from face-to-face learning to the new normal, which are the online classes. So, do we need co-scholastics for these online classes? I would say a big yes. At a time when the students are exposed to a lot of screen time, it becomes all the more important that students do have these co-scholastic subjects interspersed with their regular academic subjects, just like how it happens in a face-to-face classroom. MHRD's Fit India channel is doing an amazing job. We are exposed to a lot of folk dances, fitness, yoga. There are so many things which are happening, and the children need not sit in front of the screen just like this. They can switch it on, look at it, and then still take part. Apart from this, I think to let the creative juices flow, craft and painting videos can be seen, and then online teachers can guide them, and this can also happen. Moving on, the students are digital natives. They like to explore the technology with which they are very fluent with. Maybe creating videos, a little bit of blogging. This could be the other co-scholastic subjects which can come into the online classes. So I'm a big fan of co-scholastic subjects, and I feel that holistic education is the need of the hour, and the 16 life skills which World Economic Forum recommends has a lot of these skills which can happen only during the co-scholastic periods.
Sir, you're Director of Education. The three basic pillars of teaching and learning processes are curriculum designing, teaching, assessment. If we talk about online learning, so the first two can be handled very easily. But online assessment is a big challenge. Taking into the consideration Indian subcontinent, what type of innovative assessment styles you can suggest?
Well, the innovative assessment methods are, the first one is the proctored assessment system. This is the robust method to assess the formative assessment, and this can be administered where the remote assessment is possible. The second one is the staggered assessment system. This method can be administered in where the remote assessment is not possible. And the third one is the most common one, through polling assessment can be done, and the other common the method is through chat box responses for the immediate response. And the fourth one I could see through Google Classroom. The question paper can be posted and fixing the time frame and getting the responses and evaluating and immediate feedback to give. This is also one of the robust method of doing assessment.
No doubt, once schools will start functioning, all the students cannot be accommodated simultaneously. Recently, MHRD has issued some guidelines regarding odd-even formula. How far do you think that it is practically feasible that half the students of same class are present one day and other half on the alternative day? What do you think is the best possible way?
Here in Kuwait, we are still not sure about the dates of reopening of the schools. Earlier, Ministry announced that schools can be opened in August, but looking at the present scenario, it looks remote, rather impossible. Anyway, we expect schools to be reopened by the end of September or at least the beginning of October. And no doubt, once schools resume their functioning, all the students cannot be called, as we still have to be very, very careful. But the big question is, will it be safe for children? Will they be able to maintain social distancing? Children are children, and they are same everywhere, whether it is Kuwait or India. It will be a big challenge for the management as well as teachers. We have to wait till we receive the instructions and guidelines from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health. We have to follow the guidelines strictly. We have no choice. Till now, we have been managing somehow through online classes for seniors, that is grade 9 to grade 12th. And for other classes, we have been providing only the assignments, worksheets, revision sheets, projects, etc. just to keep them connected with the academic work through a school portal. And parents have been very happy and they have given good positive feedback to us. But can it go on? No, it cannot. The schools have to be open. The teachers might have to work for more number of hours on each day and more number of days in a week, maybe 6 days in a week. We may have to reduce the vacation days and no congregation of students in the halls or on the playgrounds. The strict rules have to be followed. There is no choice. Hope we get rid of this pandemic soon.
This was indeed a very thought-provoking and engrossing session. All the eminent principals have shared their thought-provoking ideas and valuable insights about post-COVID preparations for teachers, principals, parents, and how far and wide its impact has been felt on education. Thank you very much, all the wonderful speakers and lovely audience. Stay healthy, stay happy, and keep watching our show, Talk to Me.